Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How you doing? It's Russ here from Pokey's Corner, the biggest gob in sport. Today we're joined by Kent. How you doing, Kent?
How's it going, Russell? Keeping all right?
Yeah, not bad. What you been up to?
Nothing much. Nothing exciting. Just training. Just
Yeah,
just training. Just trying a different type of training at the minute and seeing where it takes me.
good man. Good man. Uh, we'll go straight in then, balls deep. John Fury.
It's just atypical of John Fury, really, isn't it? The big fighting man that he always seems to be. No matter where John Fury's been in his life, and whatever conflict he's always been in, he always seems to find and pick the smallest guy there, and that was atypical of John yesterday. I tell you what, I wouldn't have. For some of them guys in Usyk's camp, you wouldn't mess about with, but John found someone that he could bully and who he could mess about. Well, we tell you, I would have loved to see him do that with me.
Yeah, he's not covered himself in glory, has he?
Well, it's about for a week now. It's been about Tyson's been talking about the four belt era, and this is the first fight of its magnitude in boxing history and heavyweight for the four belt era. The three belt era, the last big undisputed fight was Lennox and Evander Holyfield. There was the two fights. I thought the first fight was tighter than a lot of people thought, and the second fight against Lennox and Evander, I actually think Evander could have got something from it. So it was a strange two fights, but this is the biggest heavyweight fight from that. This fight eclipses probably Lennox and Frank Bruno, so it's a huge worldwide fight. And for him to come out of nowhere yesterday and make that all about him is an absolute disgrace. And it's just atypical of John Fury. And it's embarrassing. I'm sure it's embarrassing for the people of Saudi who put all the money into this fight and trying to build sport in their country. And you have an absolute hoodlum like John Fury running about, getting on like an absolute fill the blanks. But it was a disgrace, and you could just see that he was asked, "Why did you do it?" Well, I heard somebody shouting, "Usyk, Usyk, Usyk." So I went over and put it on him, and that's who I am, and that's what happens with me all the time. And I'm like, firstly, John, you're out in license, so it doesn't happen all the time. It's only happened recently. So from he's come out of jail, that is. But it was just atypical. It was embarrassing. It's not normal behavior from a normal person, Russell, is it?
No, he's a madman, isn't he? Let's have it right.
Well, I wouldn't say that. If he was a madman, Russell, he would have been over starting a row with the biggest, person there, and he
So
picked the
what is he then? If
smallest guy
he's not
there.
that, what is he then?
I think he's a bully.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he is. I think he's a bully, and I think he caught the lad by that much of a surprise that the fella didn't know what to do. The guy was there with his camp. He was minding his own business. It's fight week of probably the biggest heavyweight fight in 25 years. And big man John Fury runs over and puts a loaf in him. It's like what is actually in front of the world media. It wasn't just in a press conference out the back or something that's pretty quiet and private and low key. It was the world's media was there, and John picked the right time against the right person to do it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say he's a madman for doing that. I would say he's a bully.
Well, it looks like they're all out for it, media, doesn't it? Except a certain few, like Coogan. What about what they put out?
Well, I wouldn't actually class them as the media because they're not objective whatsoever. You know, I've spoke about this before. I don't class the YouTube fraternity as the media. You know, the media for me is
What
an
about the Gad
independent.
then? He's supposed to be Fleet Street.
He's just an absolute moron. You know, he's the cheerleader of the Furies. He's been that for years. Even Simon Jordan let me down today. I listened to the Talk Sport. I was listening to Talk Sport today, and even he seemed to bring up a load of stuff about, yeah, well, it's all right for John basically to do that because over there in Saudi, the human rights issues over there are so abhorrent and bad. It's nothing and tame. And I was disappointed by that because yes, he's right, but we're not. That's not the issue we're actually talking about. I thought it was really really bad today, and you know it wasn't too long ago that Simon Jordan was a Tyson Fury cheerleader, just like the God. Then was banned from the Ngannou fight, and now he's kind of looks like he's fledgling to get back into that fraternity. But I was disappointed from Simon Jordan today, I have to say.
Yeah, he's become a cheerleader, as well as the Gadani Jordan.
Well, he always was Russell, wasn't he? He always was. He seems to go 90 degrees on himself. He seems to always go full circle on a lot of his opinions.
That Asgard, you know, who used to help Peter. He put
Yes,
something out. What an embarrassment he's become now.
it's just to be honest with you,
How can you defend that?
you can't you just can't go over and attack some young guy who's helping out with Usyk and there with his team, minding his own business. Somebody that his the amount of people that's come out and slated John Fury the last couple of years and called him out. He doesn't seem to be wanting to do that with them, but some young defenseless guy standing there minding his own business, getting attacked by John Fury. It's just not. It's not. It's not as. It's not really the best of fair play, is it, Russell?
No, it's not good at all, is it? And we expect John to sort this out now. John needs to go sit on the naughty step, doesn't he? Again,
Well, how many times is that now, Russell?
it didn't help me. My mum had a naughty step, and I used to think it was like my second home for years.
I was too afraid to mess about my home. I would have been put in my place. I knew the way
I
it worked.
loved the pit belt, me.
Well, I knew not to not. I knew I had to tread water. I didn't mess about.
Yeah. How do you see it fight going then, Kent? With all shenanigans and all this nonsense. How do you see it going? You even see it happening?
I don't see it changing. I don't see that the fight actually changing. I don't see how is that gonna. That's not gonna affect Usyk whatsoever. What? How is John Fury going and actually he actually came out the worst of it. You know, actually cut his own head open. You know, for a man who's had so many bare knuckle fights to go over and just tap somebody in with a head. His head fairly opened up. You think his face and his head would have been a wee bit more conditioned than that. But I don't see the fight actually changing. I don't see it having a significance on the fight whatsoever. Whatsoever, I see Alexander being he's absolutely cerebral in everything he does, the way he lives his life. He's a Spartan. So I can't see how John Fury, as I say, is gonna put off or get ahead of Alexander Usyk. It'll take more than that.
Yeah.
I see the fight going ahead. Yes, I do. I think it's become too big now. The fight's become too big. There's too much at stake. With the last withdrawal, the fight not being made before that, I just think now the fight is as big as it's ever going to be, and I think the fighters are at the right time in their careers for it to be this fight. You know, it's undisputed. It's the first ever 4-belt undisputed fight at heavyweight. So I see the fight going ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's too much at stake now for it not to happen.
How do you see it panning out as regards game plans and that, Kent?
I've noticed a couple of things this week. I follow Alexander quite a lot. I watch a lot of his training videos. I watch a lot of the stuff that he does. And do you want me to tell you, or do you want me to keep it to myself?
Go on, tell me, yeah.
I've just been watching what he's been doing, and I see how he's going to use his lead hand. I think Alexander's lead hand is going to be really, really important in this fight. I think his backhand's a really great shot, but his lead hand is going to be the most crucial punch in this fight for Alexander. You know, he's got great feet. He can move in and out of range. The way Alexander punches off his pivot is as good as I've ever seen. I watched a shot that he was throwing yesterday, and it's the jab. It's a spear and blinding jab, and turning the wrist over into a hook. And that's a great shot. That's the shot for me that can either make it go backwards, and when Fury goes backwards at the minute, his balance isn't really that good. So I think that's the shot that's going to offset Tyson Fury, push him back and push him off balance. For me, that's the key shot in the fight. You watch how Alexander like hypnotizes fighters with that lead hand. He's always moving it. He's always like moving it, head, chest, circling it. He's kind of like a snake charmer with that lead hand. I think the lead hand for Alexander is going to be really, really important in this fight. I look at things that Fury does of late, that he has this mad like mummy lunge forward. I think that is something that he's been doing quite a lot, and I think if Usyk can make his space and get his shots off there, I think Tyson Fury's in big, big trouble.
Dear Kent.
Massive, massive. I think Usyk's mind and his brain is exemplary. I think he's as good as any fighter that I've ever seen, balance wise, punching wise. The way, as I say, I always like to say this, he punches so well after pivoting. He can punch during pivoting. It's great balance. I think he's exceptional at it. And I'm going to go with Alexander Usyk, late stoppage.
Late stoppage, Kent.
Yeah.
Kent with the
Yeah.
late stoppage. So you're going Usyk in the championship rounds, Kent.
Yeah. I think what will happen is the fight gets on. I think is his game plan. His game plan. There won't be one game plan. The fight will be broken down into 4 sections, and in the first 4 they will set a plan. They will get those shots off. The second phase there will be another game plan which will be in top of the first stage. The third quarter will be the same on top of what they've done the other 2 quarters, and the last quarter will be go for the knockout and stop him, because Alexander is the away fighter. He's the away fighter in this fight, so he knows that this can't go to this cannot go to the judges' scorecards.
Yeah.
So late stoppage. I'm not going to sit in the fence and stutter around it. I'm going to go with Alexander late stoppage.
None of the liquors are going for Usyk, are they?
Well, if you ask them in private, they'll probably tell you something else.
Yeah. I'm going Usyk late stoppage.
Yeah, so am I. I can't see around it. I think
Usyk won't let it go to cards, will he?
He can't. How could he? He's the away fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. How's Fury going to cope with southpaw stance, though, Kent?
I think what Fury will do, I think Fury will he will make room to get his backhand off. That's the shot against the southpaw. The other shot against the southpaw is the backhand, body, left hook. So for me, that shot is a big shot. But I think if he throws that shot against Usyk, he will get pieced up. You can't set. For me, if you always look at, you have to be really sharp and really fast to land a backhand to the body. And to do that with somebody like Usyk, you have to be really sharp. It's going to take a lot of confidence to do that. I think what I see Tyson doing is there's this two counter punchers. Will he try and counter him? I don't think he'll try and lead with him as much. I think he'll try and. I think it'll be. You're talking the first 4 rounds could be slow. I think he could maybe try and counter Usyk, but I don't think he's got the speed. I think Alexander moves too well off his shots, off his pivot. I think it's going to get to a stage where Tyson's going to have to just use sheer physicality. Use his weight, use his height against Usyk. Everyone's been saying this week in the media that Usyk's a small heavyweight. I don't see that. I don't see Alexander Usyk as a small heavyweight. So I don't. He's 6'3". I think he'll come in at this fight, maybe a career heaviest at around 16 stone. I think he'll come in higher than he was. I think against AJ he was 15, 11. I can see him coming in around early 16th this fight.
225.
Yeah.
6'3".
Yeah.
Perfect, isn't he? Southpaw.
That's not a small heavyweight, Russell.
Bigger than Holyfield, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Holyfield was more explosive, very explosive heavyweight. Put his shots together really well. His style didn't really change coming up from cruiserweight, but he had a great style. Did you ever see the fight with Evander Holyfield and George Foreman?
You what?
Did you ever see the fight with Evander Holyfield and George Foreman?
Yeah, I did see the fight with Foreman and Holyfield, Kent. Yes. What did you think to it?
Amazing. What a fight. What a great fight. It was like George Foreman, Mark II. It was his first real test coming back. It was a great fight. But going back to what I was saying about Usyk is not a small heavyweight. All these Muppets and all these lickers online talking about Usyk being this small heavyweight. If they're talking about him being a small heavyweight, I don't really think they know really much about boxing, Russell, do you?
No. Listen, any man, right, cruiserweight upwards, if he clocks you, you're gonna go.
Yeah, it's true. I actually was thinking today on this, and I'm thinking, where does the heavyweight division go after this? I actually see Jay Apataya moving up to heavyweight very soon.
You see him doing out.
I see him going up to heavyweight. Yeah, I see him. He's a big Saudi favorite. They really like him. He's getting a lot of traction. The cruiserweight division is a graveyard. It's dreadful. It's a dreadful division. It's not. There's no real money in it. For me, I think even someone like Lawrence Okoli, Jay Apataya, cruiserweights that have outgrown the division should be up fighting at heavyweight. I see that happening really soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. UE won.
It's good. He's had 2 fights in less than 2 weeks, which is brilliant. He hasn't fought in close to 3 years, which is great for him to get those shows. And it's really, I was thinking this today in work. It's actually very refreshing that Huey is actually willing to probably take less money in his fights, go on the smaller shows, go on some non-televised shows, and actually get back to the grassroots of boxing and get back fighting. That is brilliant. And for me, it shows that a mature way of coming back. smart way of coming back. There's less pressure doing it that way, and hopefully by next year he's maybe 33 to 35 and 3. Then it's time to start looking and seeing what's, because to be honest with you, with Russell, there's nothing really out there for him at the minute, off being out for 3 years. He's probably just getting back to proper sparring, good sparring, being in camp again. I always say that being in camp and having any sort of fight, you always come out of it slightly better. And the more he does that, by the time everything clears up at heavyweight, with what's going on in the heavyweight landscape at the minute, he'll be ready for a big fight.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. He's on. He's fighting in Coventry next month.
That's brilliant. That's, as you say,
29th of June.
The more he can fight and the more active he can be, the better he'll get. It's smart the way they're doing it. They're not just coming back and demanding big fights and big money for smaller fights. They're going away, getting their head down, and getting where they need to be. It's very, very clever.
Yeah,
it's how it should be done. It's kind of old school, really. It's kind of old fashioned in that way. Just get the head down. They're not tied down to any promotional network, so they can go and work with other promoters, which is really, really clever.
Yeah, it is. It's well, he's getting back on track, isn't he?
Yeah, it's the right thing to do after being out for so long. So, as you said the other day in a video, if you can get to 35 and 35 and 3, and get momentum. I always find when you're winning, you gain momentum. Every win you get, you gain that wee bit more.
Yeah.
And by the time he's going to be ready for a big fight, it's probably going to be a year away, 18 months away. So by the time that is, he'll be ready for a big fight.
Yeah. Ergovic. Looks like him and Dubois are going to have to fight now, doesn't it?
That's a really, really good fight. That's a brilliant fight. I'm actually really, really looking forward to it. It's probably, he's getting out in Saudi, he's probably getting the same money for Dubois or more than he would for a mandatory, or he would fight in AJ in UK. So that's a great fight. It's while the gravy train's here, you may as well jump on it, and that's what he's doing. So and the same with Dubois. It's like, look how his career's panned out. Where would you have thought it? Wasn't too long ago he lost against Joe Joyce. A fight or two later, he's won that worthless WBA inferior or regular belt or whatever it's called, and getting big fights in Saudi. Look at the flip reversal there with his career. So the gravy train's here with the Saudi money, and no matter who they're offered, they're going to take it because they're getting career money that they're never going to get in their wildest dreams. So it makes sense to take that fight. I think it's a great fight. I think it's a fight that could headline any card. What do you think of it? Who do you think comes out in that?
What, Ergovic and Dubois?
Yeah.
Well, they're both big stiffs. So I don't care, but I hope Ergovic does him.
Yeah, I have no real opinion on it. I don't really have any affiliation with any of them. I don't really. I would, I've been calling out Hrgovic as, everyone's been calling him the boogeyman in the division. I've been saying he's more boxing like a bin man in the division. I haven't really seen anything of him that tells me he's elite world class. I thought he was dreadful against Dempsey McKean. That was a snore fest. And I thought he didn't actually look like he wanted to be in the same ring as Zhang Zhile, who I thought was robbed in that fight. Dubois, I don't really like Dubois. I think I can't relate to him in any way. I think he's hard to relate to. I think in that big Baby Miller fight, he should have really been putting him in the orbit. The guy was close to 24 stone, and he couldn't stop him. So we'll see how it all pans out.
Miller, what do you reckon is going to happen to him?
I don't like him. He's an absolute scumbag of a person. stuff he said in the media, and he's just a horrible person. I don't like him. He's one of the biggest drug cheats in boxing. Not only is he a drug cheat, he's just a horrible human being. Some of the stuff he's come out with and some of the stuff he said,
Aye.
I just don't like him. Don't like him.
Okay.
It just shows you, in boxing, you get rewarded, and drug cheats are getting rewarded with career. Somebody like Joe Joyce, who hasn't ducked a fight in his career, somebody who's fought everyone, done it all the right way, come through the amateur system, fought everyone, and he's fighting in arenas against Kai Shalley, and you've got a drug cheat like Big Pharmacy Miller. And not only is he a drug cheat, the stuff that he says at press conferences is absolutely disgraceful. It's the stuff he comes off with at press conferences is unforgivable, and he's getting rewarded for it. It's disgraceful.
Yeah. What about Zhang? Where does he go now? Big Bang Zhang.
Well, he's got the Deontay Wilder fight, which is huge. I think he deserves that fight. I think he's a man that doesn't really man a few words. Like, I don't think he speaks great English, but he deserves the opportunities. He's fought everybody. I haven't seen him turn a fight down. He's really I think if he had more volume, he would be a lot more dangerous. I think if he could work on his conditioning a wee bit more. It's not like he's 20 stone of working muscle. He's a really high body fat, so it would be easier for him to get fit. He wouldn't be hitting. It's not like he's going to get hit with lactate every time he throws a shot, because he hasn't got that muscular physique. So if he could work on his condition and that wee bit more, I think he would be even more devastating. He's so heavy-handed. It just seems to me that when he hits a fighter, they just go into the absolute horrors.
Yeah. Yeah. What if Wilder does Zhang?
Can't see it. Can't see it.
No, do you think
I
Wilder?
think he just looked so bad the last time against Joe Joyce, or sorry, Joseph Parker. He looked absolutely dreadful. He looked like a white collar fighter. He looked terrible. He looked like he couldn't put a shot together. His balance was. He looked like he was Bombay. He looked like he actually couldn't throw a punch without his legs stiffening. His balance was absolutely dreadful. When a big puncher loses their balance, you actually don't have the balance to generate the force. So without that, I don't know. I would say that Zhang is a very strong favorite going into that fight, and it's not like Wilder comes on strong in the second half of fights. He gasses too. So I would say that Zhang's a big favorite. I think Wilder's just going to have to run out and throw shots at him and close his eyes the way he's done his whole career.
Yeah.
And just try and land that big shot. That's his only hope.
Loma, Cambosa.
Yeah, I kind of expected that. I kind of expected him to do a demolition job, and in Cambosis, Cambosis was dreadful against Maxi Hughes. I thought Maxi Hughes beat him in that fight convincingly. I think I had Maxi by about 8 or 9 rounds in that fight and was absolutely robbed. So off that performance, I had Lomachenko just dominating him and destroying him and stopping him late. I think it was the right opponent for Lomachenko. I think it was the perfect timing for Loma to come out. It's possibly another fight before a big fight for Loma, so he really had to look good in that fight.
Yeah. Loma's and Tank, who you got?
Tank for me is in between weights. I think Tank can jump up and down weights. I don't know. I think would Shakur Stevens be a more attractive fight than Tank? I don't know the way the promotional landscape is with Tank. But Tank or Shakur Stevens would be a great fight. You know, you look at the top three fighters at lightweight, and they're all southpaws. You got Sependa, you've got Lomachenko and Shakur. Tank, I don't know what's going on with Tank's career. I think Tank's career's, yeah, he's amazing, and he's a really really exciting fighter, but he just doesn't seem to be having those breakthrough fights. He hasn't seemed to got that name that's going to make him that breakthrough fighter. I think possibly a Lomachenko, or maybe stepping up and somebody like a Teofimo Lopez. I don't know. I just don't think he's got the dance partner yet to make him a great.
No.
But I know that Lomachenko's not going to want to just step up and be the B side and be there as cannon fodder for somebody to come through. I'm not sure. I think they'll be more strategic about Lomachenko here than they have been the last couple of years. I think he'll be a wee bit smarter of his opposition. He's 36 now.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's he's knocking on a bit, isn't he, Loma?
Well, they're probably going to sit about. They're probably going to wait. Lomachenko's got that link with Top Rank. Top Rank have got that link with Saudi. So a big fight in Saudi. That's what everyone wants right now. Is that big cash out fight in Saudi Arabia? I don't know. Does he step up to super lightweight? Is there the name brand value there? I look at super lightweight and I don't really see much. You got Teofimo Lopez, who doesn't really draw anything in his own New York. You've got Davin Haney, who's been destroyed, albeit by a drug cheat. You know, there's not much real name brand value when you go up. So I don't know. Could it be Tank? Could it be Shakur? Could it be Sependa? Or just get some defenses and wait for a big super fight up in Saudi?
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that any Brits are going to ever do out at lightweight?
No, not yet. You know that you even look at, before you would even say that and suggest that, you look at names like Regis Prograis. Regis Prograis for me would be the gatekeeper of that division. It's going to be a while yet before, we can't get the best Brit lightweight fighters fighting each other, never mind stepping up and fighting up at lightweight, Russell. They need to be fighting each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Crusher and Ryan Garcia.
Who cares?
Is Ryan
Who
Garcia
cares?
cleared?
Well, the B sample hasn't been open yet, so apparently the B sample was Australine and Nandrolone. So it's two substances there, which is very, very disappointing. They basically said that other media outlets were saying that it's reminiscent of Sugar Shane O'Malley, a UFC fighter who smokes a lot of weed. He was done with Australine, and basically it was down to weed. That was the excuse. He got banned for like 6 months. I think the severity of it, and you look at it, is the Australine, yes, but Nandrolone is a much stronger drug than Australine. So with that being found in the system now, it's just very, very disappointing. It really was a slap in the face. The boxing, really, wasn't it? It's just another. And for Conor Benn, Conor Benn now again has failed his application with the board, so doesn't look good for him. It's over 2 years now. This they've been messing about with this, and the way it's going on, it's going to be another 2 years before he fights in the UK. So I think what Crusher's doing is trying to pick fights in America, probably Texas, because Texas will give anybody a license. If Texas will give a 60-year-old Mike Tyson a license, they're going to give a drug cheat a license. So I think he's just hedging his bet and trying to get fights in America, because he knows that those wee fights that he's been having this last year or so. They're only takeover fights. Eddie Hearn isn't going to want to pay Conor Benn the money he's paying him for them and set up those cards in America for those takeover fights. Don't forget, Conor Benn is absolutely zero name brand value in America. So on them cards, they have to bring in maybe 2 or 3 other fighters that have name brand value in America, as well as him. It doesn't make commercial viable sense for Eddie to be doing that in America. And I think if Conor goes to fight in America next, that's going to be a big cash out fight because he's going to need to make back some of the money that he's lost the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because he'll not be fighting in Britain anytime soon.
Who won't?
Conor.
I can't see it ever getting dealt with that, Ken. Can you?
Never. If it was getting dealt with, you would cut a deal right away. And you can go 2 ways about it. Contaminated substance, fertility, or hold my hands up. I'm under a lot of pressure. I'm Nigel Benn's son. I haven't got much experience. I'm feeling the pressures and I took drugs. I'm sorry. I hold my hands up. And he would have had maybe 3 fights by this stage, but he hasn't. There has been all the propaganda on the background, the mental health propaganda, the contaminated sample propaganda, the dossier. That is another smokescreen. The WBC's excuse that he refuted, then went back to the board, suing the board. So all these smoke and mirrors have been going on in the background, distracting what has actually happened, and it's all backfired on him. I can't see it ever being dealt with. Ever being dealt with.
No, I can't. I think he's heading for Skid Row in this country for fighting.
I can't see him fighting here. I can't see that the board will not sanction it. And the only place he draws is the UK. And look what's happening worldwide at the minute. Every other week, he's putting something out there to try and keep himself relevant. Boxing now is huge at the minute. We've got a lot of great fighters. They're going to be forced to fight each other in America because of Saudi. And Saudi are putting so much money into it to make these super fight cards. So it's kind of like a seesaw effect. So America is going to put the best against the best because they have to, because they're under pressure from Saudi. Saudi's going to put the best of the best and put a lot of money into it. And in the outlook, he's looking in. And the more these fights are happening, the more less relevant that he's been. The less people are talking about him or thinking about him, because all these fights are being made and they're being they're getting the proper exposure, the proper viewership, rather than giving somebody like that who's failed 2 drug tests. So he is fighting every week for his survival to stay relevant. And the less relevant he is, the less people care. I'm a wall and watch him.
Yeah. We'll go to part 2. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. We'll see you on part 2.